Alright, in this one I want to do some TA on a coin I haven't talked about in a while, good old Chainlink. We have now made another rotation of this range. We've gone from the highs of the range back down to the lows of the range where we are sitting right now. So I want to go over the range levels, what I'm looking at in terms of this local range, and also at the end I think I'll talk about some of my ideas in terms of the more macro. But first let's talk about what has happened locally, or at least locally inside of this, massive year-long range that we've been in. But we have come down to the lows of the range again, and we took out an important wick. I have this wick marked out daily high or low, but you have to understand that this is internal range structure. In terms of the actual market structure, we have literally just been trading in between these two market structure points, this lower high and this lower low. We have not taken out this low, at least not on Coinbase. I haven't checked many other exchanges, but even if we wicked it, it's not really that important. Basically, the local market structure is as rangy as you can get, so you kind of have to go with, the best you have. And so, looking at local market structure, you can say that we are in some kind of an uptrend here, and this being the last higher low. You could even say we had some kind of transition of market structure here when we broke this last lower high and then put in a higher low and a higher high. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with this daily higher low. It's, again, just internal structure, but it's the best that we got. And we have wicked this low on the daily. We have SFP'd it. So I think that is somewhat of a significant development. And I think that if we transition lower time frame market structure here now, if we come back up to break the last lower high, if we begin an uptrend, I think it would be very easy to make a run for, at least around the highs of this range, considering the basically trail of liquidity that we have above us. There weren't really many runs on liquidity. I mean, you can call this a run on liquidity, but it's really just stopping out everyone that's shorted in this area. Yeah, and other than that, I mean, we haven't really been taking out the highs. We've just been putting in lower highs. This maybe was a little bit of a liquidity grab here, but again, there's still a lot of highs left untouched that probably have lots of stop losses above them. So I think that if we now transition market structure after SFPing the daily high or low, could be a bullish sign. And looking at the higher time frames, the value area low also lines up right around that market structure point. So if we get above that, we would also be getting above the value area low. We'd be getting a move back inside of the range. And so that's pretty much what I'm looking at right now in terms of the developments. There's not too much to go off of. Really the only thing I was watching down here was this low. Other than this area that we have down here, we got the untapped daily, untapped weekly, untapped monthly. That could give us some support if we see another move to the downside, but there really wasn't much I was watching in terms of support. So, right now I think best case scenario is we just get a move up, break market structure now after SFPing that low. And we do have some divergences on market Cipher. The daily isn't looking super great right now because the money flow is continuing to trend down, and this wave has not yet clipped off. We haven't seen the green dot basically showing that this wave is bottomed. So, even though right now we could still form divergences on this daily, it's cutting it pretty close, and right now it's not even really clipping off like I would like to see. But if we go down to the 12-hour, we do have a slight divergence with momentum here. And is this wave? Yeah, this wave is that higher low. So we do have a slight divergence on this 12-hour. Even money flow from back here diverged. We had a pretty deep wave back here. We put in higher lows, and even locally, we got a little divergence as we came down for this last low. So the 12-hour is actually looking pretty decent. 4 hours not looking super great. Money flows continuing to move to the downside. 6-hour looks a lot different though. 6-hour, the money flow looks pretty weak in the red. I mean, it's kind of bobbing back and forth, not really showing much of anything. The 2-hour gave us a local divergence on that low, and money flow kind of made a double bottom, and it's kind of starting to curve back to the upside, so this could look decent. And with the divergences on the low, as we came down for this last low, you could say that's looking pretty decent. And this is the 3-hour. I might have said 2-hour, but let's check the 2-hour. 2 hour did get a divergence with money flow and momentum on that low. 1 hour did not, but it was cutting it close. We did get divergence with the momentum though, so there were divs on the low. I'd say I would really want to see this daily start to turn around for more confidence. I want to see the money flow start to move to the upside, print that low. Ideally get a divergence, but I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. We got divergences on other time frames. And even if this doesn't end up being the low, if we continue this downtrend, maybe we end up seeing a market structure shift after hitting this support level, and then, the same thing pretty much stands at that point. I would expect that we will probably get a run on this liquidity and probably do what we have been doing for a year now, which is just rotating from the lows of the range to the highs of the range. So pretty much I'd be waiting for the market structure shift of this low time frame downtrend that we were in. So I pretty much already went over all the levels of support I'm watching. It's mainly just this area here. I mean, I would be paying attention to the lows. Maybe we wick them again. Maybe we wick these internal lows. If we wick this low, that would be interesting. And I guess I didn't notice that we did wick this low right here. So this would actually be the low. And that might change things in terms of market structure, actually. I didn't notice that. So, like, depending on how you look at it, you could now call this the lower high in market structure. Even though it's just a wick, it's technically a lower low, and some people look at that as continuing the trend. So, I'm sure some people are calling this the lower high in market structure as opposed to this high. But it is higher time frame structure, so I probably wouldn't. I would still be more focused on this high. And in terms of local ideas for support, the only thing I'd really be interested in would be like a retest after we break market structure. So if we end up breaking market structure here, I'd be looking for something in this area like order blocks that line up with fib levels, and ideally to have confluence with volume levels as well. Pretty much looking for a retest. And yeah, order blocks tend to be a good place to look for retest after we break market structure. So locally, that's really the only other idea that I'd be looking at. But in terms of resistance levels, I am mainly looking around the highs of the range because we've seen a lot of range rotations here. So I would be mainly focused on the highs of the range for resistance, and also considering the line of liquidity that we have here, I wouldn't be interested in too much in this area. Just because I don't trade Link that often. If I'm going to trade Link, it's going to be more of a swing trade, so I would not be interested in really anything in this area actually. But up around the highs of the range, we do have a nice zone of resistance here, a lot of levels that I'd be paying attention to. I'd say first off would probably be this zone right here, where we have the untapped monthly, the golden pocket, the value area high of the larger range, and this 3 hour order block. So, even if we get a move above this level, even, maybe wicking the block, I would still be paying attention to this zone. But the bottom of this box does have some nice confluence, and, a lot of times I have noticed that like monthly or weekly levels will get wicked, or maybe they'll get like a quick reaction immediately, but then later they'll get wicked. So maybe if we get a move above that monthly, reject off this area, and then start to fall back outside the monthly, I would still be looking at that as getting rejected from this monthly level. And another potential idea would be wicking this order block coming up to this high volume node that I have marked out, which I don't know where I marked that out from. Yeah, I don't know where I got that high volume node from. Maybe it was a high volume node previously in the range. I don't know. That's an old level that I just had marked out, but either way, you could still wick the order block, and if you fall back inside of it, then a lot of times that still counts as rejecting from the order block. You're just kind of running the liquidity, the stop losses that a lot of people are going to place above the order block, so I would be watching that as a possibility. And the untapped weekly is lining up with the 786, so that is some nice confluence. Two levels that I consider to usually be reactive, lining up right on top of each other, so I like that level. And yeah, that is mainly what I'm looking at in terms of resistance. You could also mark out this wick right here because that kind of ends this trail of liquidity. So maybe if we get an SFP of this wick into the monthly or into the order block, that's something you could watch. And of course, I'd also have this high marked out up here. There isn't much in between this high and the 786, so if we get above that level, geez, I can't get this to line up. But if we get above the 786, I would not really be paying attention to anything until that high, I don't think. I mean, some people probably have this marked out as a daily order block, actually. So, I guess there's something above the 786 that you could watch. Yeah, I would want to see at least a market structure shift in here before I get interested in it. So, that's something to also have in mind is, yeah, that could be a daily order block. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I'm looking at in terms of this range. Um, I think the next thing that I'd be really paying attention to would be if we can shift market structure here. Because, like I said, that would pretty much give us the green light, in my opinion, to start running this liquidity up here. So, whether it happens now or if it happens later, I would be waiting for this market structure shift. And now let's talk about the more macro. Let's talk about what has been going on with Chainlink. So I think it is interesting that we have been ranging here for over a year right on top of this pretty much zone, the last bit of price action that we have before we took off for the bull market. We have been ranging right above these highs, right above the wicks. And I know this is a zone that a lot of people are watching for, a potential macro bottom, anywhere between like $5 and I mean, I've seen some people say as low as like $2. But yeah, I think this area is going to be very key support for us. And I have this area marked out pretty much like the highs of this area between the wicks and the value area high. And this is like from $5 to like 350. And I think the main idea that I would, really be interested in considering this zone would be something like we've seen Bitcoin do a lot, where we get a move down below previous range. We kind of consolidate for a little bit and then just blast off through the previous range again. If we do something like that, if we start ranging, as soon as we break the lows, as soon as we dip down into this area, then I would probably be very interested in this zone. And I was able to mark out a lot of support levels inside of this zone that we formed on this move to the upside right here. You can see a lot of daily levels and an untapped weekly and this daily order block. Now, I like this daily order block because this is really the only order block that I'm seeing, the only one that hasn't been mitigated. Yeah, there really isn't anything else. I was looking on the 2-day, on the weekly. I wasn't seeing any order blocks in this area except for this daily one, which is looking pretty nice. Blue candle to the left, purple candle, which marked a bottom as well, so that's slightly more significant. And then we got an aggressive move to the upside. And you could even be safe and cover this wick with it. It wasn't respected when price came back up. It just blew straight through it. So you could include the wick as well. But I like this untapped daily level as well because it is right in the middle of that daily order block. We formed a daily level there as well. So there are some levels that could be reactive inside of this area as well. Some more daily levels. And going to the weekly, there's an untapped weekly there as well, right there. So I would really be watching all of these areas. And if we see like a primary market structure shift inside this area, like maybe if we get a move down to here, break market structure, and then maybe put in some lower highs, lower lows, break market structure somewhere, or maybe we just come down, do something like this, and then break market structure later. This could make for a significant low. I'd say this area has the potential to mark a significant bottom, just based off of where it is, and the fact that we could also deviate this range and then just kind of shoot up through it. We've seen that before. And yeah, other than that, I don't have much else to talk about regarding the macro. I guess we either have to wait for us to take out the lows to then get a market structure shift, or us to break out of this range and maybe try and break this high. Other than that, there's not much to talk about. We're just still ranging at this point. So until something happens, that's what I'm going to be paying attention to, is this range. Alright, well, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Really appreciate the support, and I will see you all in the next video.